Hey, Trailblazers, welcome back to another training to help you move through your identity threshold. Today, we're talking about the 5 identities that might be holding you in your identity threshold, right? Last training, we talked about the 5 phases, and you were able to identify those 5 phases. Now, we're going to look at what identity is actually holding you there. So many high capacity, high achieving, highly determined women experience the identity threshold. And now we have language for it, right? And this is the moment, again, just to sort of recap. The identity threshold is that moment where the old version of you no longer fits, but then the next version hasn't fully formed or stabilized yet. So we're in this, like, what I call the messy middle, the in between, however you want to identify it. And within that, we actually walked through during the last training the 5 phases that women move through during this transition, right? We talked about the phase of dissonance, deconstruction, capacity, integration, and then the final phase of expression and legacy. Again, those first 4 phases are all internal. Of course, there are some external symptoms, but they're an internal process that we go through. And the expression and legacy is that final phase where we can actually align the in internal structures with the external structures, right? And through this training, many of you are able to recognize where you are in that process in the phases. So today, I actually want to show you something equally important because once you identify the phase that you're in, the next question becomes, okay, what is keeping me here though? Like, that's great. I have awareness of the phase that I'm in this identity framework, identity threshold framework. But like, what is holding me here? Right. And very often, especially here, what we're talking about, the answer is identity, right? Not the new identity forming. That's not holding you back. It's the old identity that actually built your success. So, recognizing that these identities, and I'm going to go through 5 main ones that I see within clients of my 20 years of experience that I have gone through as a professional, and as a leader and as a business owner. We'll be going through these 5 identities, but just knowing that these identities were highly adaptive, that they actually helped you achieve a lot. Um, and also to recognize that when expansion begins, those same identities can quietly hold us back. They can hold women back inside a phase way longer than is necessary. So, today I want to walk you through the 5 high functioning identities that often build success, but now can slow the expansion when they remain unconscious. Again, first, we want to bring it to our awareness. So, let's look at this core concept again of identity. Identity really determines far more than we realize. Identity shapes what we tolerate, how we lead, how much responsibility we carry, how visible we allow ourselves to be, and how much pressure we normalize. So, most of us who are here, most high achieving women, did not succeed because of tactics. They succeeded because of who they became. But every identity that builds success eventually reaches a ceiling, right? And when women hit the identity threshold, the challenge is rarely effort, right? It's that the identity structure that created that success during that season of life cannot and is not meant to carry the next level of leadership. So let's really look at these 5 identities that I most commonly see in the high capacity women that I work with. And as I describe them, I encourage you to just notice which one might still be organizing how you operate, right? Especially in now knowing the phase of identity threshold that you're currently navigating. So let's go through the 5 high functioning identities. The first that I want to talk about is the capable one, right? What is the capable one? She's competent, she's strategic, she's reliable. She built her life by figuring things out. She anticipates problems. She solves before anyone asks. She rarely drops the ball. And that really built a lot of success. How did it build success? She became trusted. She became respected, essential. People rely on her because she consistently delivers. Now, let's look at how it can actually hold women in the phase of threshold. This identity can keep women stuck in execution mode, right? So instead of expanding influence, they continue carrying everything themselves, right? Expansion actually requires delegation, collaboration, strategic leadership, not being constantly in problem solving. You are meant to have other people solving problems um, at those levels for you at that time. Okay. So that is the capable one. Let's talk about the responsible one. This is another identity that I notice, that I see, that I have identified in so many high capacity women, is that we are holding things together. This is the responsible one. We're holding things together. Um, we feel accountable for outcomes, stability, success. Others often lean on her, lean on us, right? Often the emotional and the logistical backbone of so many environments that she walks into. Okay. So, how did the responsible one build success? She's dependable, grounded, safe. People trust her judgment. Now, how does it hold us in threshold? This identity often keeps women over functioning, right? We carry the emotional labor that is not ours to carry. They prevent, we actually, this is another way. We prevent others from experiencing natural consequences because we're holding it all. And expansion actually requires at this moment a shared responsibility, not this silent overcarrying that we're doing. Okay, so that is the responsible one. Let's look at the third identity, the strong one. So, the strong one, she doesn't crumble. She usually processes pain very privately. She moves through a lot of difficulties alone, and she rarely asks to be supported. So, this identity built success because she developed a lot of resilience. She became the authority, this place of inner fortitude, and she can often hold pressure that a lot of others cannot hold. So let's talk about how this holds women in threshold. So this identity can actually prevent emotional processing, right? When we repress emotions, when we stuff them, when we hold them. So instead of allowing the shedding process, women stay composed and very self contained. But real expansion actually requires connection and support, not solitary endurance. Right? Any of these resonate yet? The fourth identity I want to talk about is the high performer. High performer, and I say this all the time. I say this: high achieving, high caliber, like highly driven, right? This is the high performer. I mean, we embody her. Let's learn about how she's actually holding us back. So the high performer, she achieves. She not only sets ambitious goals, she meets them. Okay. She measures growth through output, productivity, momentum, right? And how that actually helped her to build success is that she created a lot of visibility. She created results, opportunities. She knows how to move things forward. Okay. So, how does it hold women back in threshold? This identity often pushes women past the nervous system limits, right? When we talk about capacity. So instead of stabilizing the new level of leadership, they try to force the next milestone, which actually leads to self sabotage. So, here, what we really need is the expansion it really requires nervous system capacity, not more effort, not pushing through. Okay. So, does that resonate with anybody? The high performer. Should see a lot of yeses here. And you might be saying like, Leanne, all of these are showing up. Don't worry, there's a process through them. That's the next training. So that is the high performer. And then the final identity that I want to talk about, the fifth identity that I want to talk about, is the relatable one. Okay, this one is a little bit, it can be a little bit more subtle. So the relatable one often softens her edge, right? She downplays her brilliance. She tempers her ambition so that she remains likable. She might think, well, I don't want to intimidate anybody, right? I don't really want to outgrow my circle. And your circle might be like, you know, your family, your network. Think about that. Like your friends, your family, your network. Like these are people that you've surrounded yourself with and you're afraid of outgrowing them, or I don't want to seem like I am too much, right? So that's what the relatable one often fears or thinks. And how this identity built success is that she maintained belonging, which is actually one of our basic needs, the sense of belonging. Okay, the sense of loving, like being loved and loving, and then the sense of belonging. Well, if you're looking at reality therapy. Anyways, so she really helped us to maintain belonging, connection, harmony. People feel really comfortable around her. So, how can this actually hold us back in the threshold? So, this identity can really cause women to shrink before they fully step forward into their leadership and their power. They often dilute their message, they hesitate before claiming authority, right? So, expansion really requires tolerating visibility, even when it changes the room physically, energetically, literally changes the room. Okay, so we have to tolerate visibility. So, those are the 5 identities that might be holding you in your threshold in one of those phases that we talked about. And again, none of these identities are wrong. In fact, they were incredibly intelligent adaptations, right? They helped you to build the level of success that you currently have. But what built this level cannot build the next. And during an identity threshold, the work is not about abandoning yourself, right? It's about expanding beyond identities that once protected you, right? We call these the conditioned selves, right? They protected us, they created safety, and they continue to want to create safety. So now that you've identified the phase of the identity threshold you might be in, I want you to ask yourself another question. Which identity may still be organizing how I lead? Is it the capable one, the responsible one, the strong one, the high performer, or is it the relatable one? And like I said, you might be like, I don't know, they show up at different times. That's okay. um, what we can do is just bring it all into awareness. When is the capable one showing up? When is the responsible one showing up? The strong one, the high performer, the relatable one. And there's a diagnostic that helps you with identifying which one is higher in their frequencies of showing up. So let us know if you are ready for that diagnostic. We would love to send it over to you. Because, like, when we bring these identities into awareness, we stop unconsciously operating from them, right? We're not on autopilot anymore. Therefore, we can actually create the space for that next level of leadership to emerge. So, be sure to message us, respond in email. Which identity is currently holding you back from your next level expansion? Or you can reach out and ask us if you're having a difficult time, ask us to send you the diagnostic. If you want to learn more about how to expand your identity, now that we've identified the phase that you're in, the identity threshold phase, and now we've identified the 5 identities that might be holding you back, and you're ready to be like, okay, now what? How do I move through this? How do I expand? How to expand your identity and move through the phase that you're in? This is exactly what we do in the Legacy Foundation program, the Legacy Ascension program, right? And just so you know, we will be diving into the hows of expansion in the next training. So I can't wait to see you there.